guys, welcome back. This video has a theme in it and the theme is new. There are so many new things happening in my collection. I got a new greenhouse shelf liner for the garage hoya downstairs, which I will show you later on in the video. I am trying out a new substrate for my anthurium, which I am so stoked about. And a lot of my anthurium rehabs are doing super well, so I want to show you that. There's a lot of new growth happening. And then at the end, we are going to rehab some anthurium and hoya. I, for one, cannot wait to get into it. Thank you all for being here. Let's actually start off talking about why I'm trying a new substrate for my anthurium, and then I'll just kind of take you around my place and show you all of the new stuff happening. So while we're here and while the substrates are in front of me, I am going to talk about why I am stepping back from using tree fern, my tree fern mix that I've been using on all of my anthurium in this last year. I started using it in January of 2024, and honestly, I've kind of come to a point where I'm starting to realize it might not be the substrate for me in terms of how I like to water. I've rotted so many anthurium in that substrate that I just want something a little bit foolproof and easier. This realization kind of dawned on me when I saw how well my anthurium were rehabbing in moss. And I know I am going to be the first one to call me out and say that I hate moss, especially for really thin roots. But after seeing how well moss has worked on anthurium rehabs and anthurium seedlings, it's kind of hard to ignore that. Within a week of putting a very sad anthurium in moss, 100% spag moss, right? They rooted, so I was able to see roots, new roots by around the end of the week. And then within a matter of days, usually 3 to 4 days, the growth point had sprouted and they actually started pushing leaves. And this happened with, I kid you not, every single anthurium that I rehabbed in moss, like exactly on that timeline. Their roots just seem to love moss for whatever reason. I am willing to work with it because their roots are a bit chunkier. I don't think I'll ever use moss with hoya because hoya roots are a lot finer, and honestly the hoya that I have in my tree fern mix are doing really well, so I think the tree fern mix that I've been using, I will not change that for hoya. But for anthurium, I'm just gonna test out this new substrate that I have and just kind of see what it does. So far it's been looking really promising. Before I tell you what it is, I kind of also researched a little bit why this mix would work so well for anthurium too, because this mix I have is technically an orchid mix, and orchids and anthuriums actually have so much in common that I didn't realize. They tend to grow a lot like orchids. Honestly, I'm not one of those people that will say that anthuriums are super easy. I think that they can be, but the learning curve is so high. I've been growing them for a little over a year now, and much trickier than hoya. 100%. Hoya are way easier than anthurium, and I think it comes down to the roots. The roots are very particular in what they like and don't like, and for anthurium, their roots always want to have access to moisture, so that whole wet dry cycle that hoya can go through and be fine. A lot of anthurium do not like to be dry. There are exceptions, of course, like the clarinervium, but honestly, drying out anthurium just does nothing good. They also don't want to be wet either. They don't want to be soaked. And so you need to create this mix that retains a lot of moisture, but is also coarse and allows a lot of airflow. Airflow for anthurium roots is so important, and I think that's partially why they like moss, because moss, when you rehab it like I do, which is purposely not packing it in but leaving a lot of gaps in the moss so air can get in between there, they've just been doing so well and they have been so happy in it. So it's like you need to create this mix that retains moisture but also has a lot of airflow, and that is a really hard thing to do. However, I think I have something promising. I'm finally going to show you what I'm talking about. I thought I was pretty ingenious coming up with this mix, but later on I actually found out that Tazula Plants has a mix exactly like the one, not exactly, it has all of the components that I made for my mix, and I actually don't have my mix to show you because I went through all of it. But the new substrate that I am trying out has 3 components to it. So it is orchid bark, specifically Orchiata. It's perlite, a very coarse perlite, somewhere between like a grade 3 and a grade 4 perlite. And the last ingredient is moss, of course. The mix that I made was primarily orchid bark and then perlite and then just a little bit of moss. And lo and behold, I found out that actually Tazula had this mixed already. They call it their Aroid and Orchid Mix number 3. And in the description, they actually said that the root formation in this mix is actually unlike any other mix that they have. And that's exactly what I've seen too with my experience with moss. The roots in moss are so healthy and they grow so quickly too. Let me just show you the mix. This is the standard one. So you can actually customize the mix on Tazula. The orchid bark is a mix of power and classic, which is just basically like the grade of it. There you go. Hopefully you guys can see. You can see the orchid bark in there. They got perlite. I think this is a grade 3 perlite they have. And you can see the moss petals. And if you don't know what that is, because I didn't know what that was, it's actually the moss without any strands through it. It is only the parts that are connected to the strands. So it's really, really fine. And then I also customized a mix that has a little bit more moss for the exact same price. And you can see what this one looks like. I will say their mix is not cheap. 1 gallon is $25. You can imagine this is how much it is. This is like a 2-gallon bin. You can kind of imagine how quickly you would go through this. I want to make my own. I just kind of wanted to try theirs out and just to see how it performs. I'll show you the plants that I did repot in my mix. I used the Orchiata Power Plus, which is a larger grade orchid bark in it. And instead of these moss petals that they have, I just use the strands of moss and just make sure that there are no clumps in it. Aside from that, all 3 ingredients are pretty much the same. That is the mix that I am going to test out on my anthurium, and I will obviously tell you how it goes and report back to you if it does as well as the anthurium that just have been grown in moss do. Then I will be over the moon, and by the end of the year I will have some pretty beautiful anthurium. So that is what is new. I just remembered that I have a plant back here that I just repotted, and well, not just repotted. I think this plant is going on a week, maybe 10 days of being in my more chunky mix. Hopefully you can see in there, my pieces are way larger. So the orchid bark is larger, the perlite is larger, and you can see there are strands of the moss. In case you haven't seen this plant, this is my clarinervium crossed with Pedato radiatum. And I had this plant in a high humidity dome because I imported it in November, so it was just growing roots and acclimating, and I finally repotted it and got it out into ambient, and it is doing so well in this mix. It is dripping all over me, but I'm so happy how well the roots are doing. These are new happy roots right over here. And then I also have a new happy root over here. You can see it right there. And all of the roots that were in the 100% moss when it was into the dome have not rotted off, which is fantastic. The transition was really easy on it. Anything that has clarinervium has really thick roots, and it is a lot easier, I think, to grow. I'm just glad that it's doing really, really well. Now that I've shown you what it looks like, I am going to take you around the plant room and then take you downstairs and just show you everything that's new in my collection, new growth, and all of that jazz. Let's start. First of all, I just want to show you the Hoya that I have on this shelf. I am loving especially this one. I believe this is the Sabah dragonfly. This Hoya is so freaking stunning. Okay, I am accidentally zooming in. I did not mean to zoom in on that. Look at this leaf. It is so gorgeous. The new growth, because I think this plant is further away from the grow light, has been coming in very long and narrow compared to the leaves under highlight, which are kind of round and cute and chubby. I honestly kind of prefer the long, narrow growth. I think it's really fun. And I also love how the growth also comes in purple when it's new. I just love the tiny splashes that this plant has. It is finally growing after being repotted, and I'm super happy. This is my lacunosa white pearl, and it is continually growing, thank God, because I had a cutting for a very long time doing nothing, so it's really encouraging to see it do so well. This is my elliptica over here, and it's also been growing a lot of new leaves. The foliage is very cute and splashy, so I love that. Now I want to show you the prop box that is underneath. Talking about new, I actually have two new plants that I haven't shown you in here. They're both anthurium. So I imported this in November as well. This is a cartel down hue crossed with a red crystal. This is the tag. And it is growing a new leaf. And the reason why I picked this specific one is I really liked the veins and how they looked like, I don't know, very jagged and like lightning, so I thought that was very cool. That is one new plant that I have not shown you guys. The other one is down here. This is actually quite an exciting one. This is, and it's looked better. It is very, very bleached. This was just like a reaction of the plant adapting to being imported. This is a red spider, and it's a red spider self. You can see all the new roots growing in the moss. It's doing really good. Look at this brand new leaf. I don't think the sinus is fused. You can kind of see the lobes are touching, but yeah, it's not quite a fused sinus yet. Really exciting to see this one growing. And then the other thing that's important to note is this is my NSC Wendley, and it rotted its roots at the end of last year. And so I have it rehabbing, and as you can see, it is growing new roots. Thank God that I was able to save that. So that is this prop box. Now we are on the floor, and you can see the glorious AH049 that I retrellised in December. It is growing super cute baby leaves, so that's really nice to see it continuing to grow. The peduncle, though, has not done anything yet. I'm gonna take you through this Hoya prop box on the ground. This kind of has my recent repots that I just did. There is one anthurium rehab in here. This is the undulata splash, New Guinea ghost. This is the Argentea princess, which again didn't have any roots, but I popped it in the tree fern pond mix, and look at that, you guys. There are two roots actually escaping the bottom. No growth point that I see on it yet. This is what I wanted to show you in this prop box. This is my Madeira green edge, and as you can see, we have 3 new leaves. Not 1, not 2, but 3. And I hope it is going to pick this up, but you can see that new leaf expanding, and it is going to carry on this lovely pattern. Hallelujah to that it did not revert. And it is loving its time in the prop box. The roots are rooting away. Next up, we have a taller one that is currently obscured a little bit by this Tycon. There are a lot of anthurium rehabbing here. I definitely want to show you this one because its new leaf has just come out, and look at how long and narrow this leaf is. It's actually a Green Hues No ID RLFS, but yeah, it really wasn't doing that great. You can see the older leaves, and this is the first leaf that it gave me in the prop box, and then this is the second one, which honestly looks glorious. And of course, look at all of these roots. It is very happy indeed. Oh, I totally forgot about this one, you guys. Okay, this is another Green Hues. This was an NSC Dressleri crossed with a Tazula, Ace of Spades Dark Form crossed with an A+ Pap. So it's got Dress, Pap, and Ace of Spades in it. and it was not doing well. All of the leaves were very malformed, so I rehabbed it, and look at this beautiful huge leaf that it put out. I am still so shocked at how big and perfect this leaf is. It did get nicked a little bit over here, but honestly, it's almost perfect. And you can really see all three of the parents in it. I see the Dressleri, I see the Ace of Spades, and I see the Pap as well. And it is very happily rooting away. I'm probably gonna have to repot this very, very soon. I was so shocked when I saw this. Over here, I have my largest prop box. It's pretty big if you can just see it compared to my hand. Houses a lot of anthurium and some hoya, and I actually got hydrometers, so you can see the humidity in there is 96. Let's take off the light and I can show you what's in here. There's no way I am gonna be able to go through every single plant because there are so many of them. This one is super cute. This is my, I think it's a King of Spades crossed with a Tazula Dark Form Ace of Spades. It is very well rooted. Oh my god, I have to repot this. But yeah, you can really see the King of Spades. And I know it's probably not going to pick it up, but when the Emergent was coming out, it was super shiny and holographic and so much fun. So there's that one. I got a couple BVIP Emergents, very dark. That's the one that has the red sinus on it. This is the other BVIP that is working on a new leaf currently. This is one of the plants that made me want to change up my mix. So this is like a no ID anthurium. I kind of forgot what it was. It gave me this wonderful dark leaf. It looks so good. I rehabbed it in moss and then I transferred this one to my tree fern pond mix, and I noticed that the roots were starting to rot. And so I took it out and I tried this new mix that I'm trying out. No new roots to speak of yet, but at least the old roots that it had are still green and doing okay. It looks like maybe it'll push a new leaf within like a month or so. This is one of the plants that made me try the new mix. This is my Mitrata Silver, and look at these cute new baby leaves. Super adorable. Plant fell over because I had it balancing. I bought 2 Black Widow Michelle Selfs from Buzz Plants. This is one of them. Still a wee baby seedling, so not sure what it'll turn into, if it'll have those striking veins, but I bought 2 just to kind of see if that'll increase my chances. So this is one of them. That is my big boy prop box. This is the background that you see. It's got 2 shelves. I have a new scalprum leaf coming in. I took your guys' advice and I repotted 2 of my alocasia into 100% pon, and you guys were totally right. Alocasia do love pon. You can see, but there's a lot of new healthy roots in there, which makes me super excited because I really do love the scalprum. Just like look at that texture, guys. So good. This guy is on my repot list. This is my Hushkiliana intervariegated, and hopefully you can tell how wrinkly it is because I'm pretty sure the roots are shot. So I'm gonna try to save this plant because I really do love it, and I would be very sad if it kicked the bucket. This was kind of a little bit of a sad one. This is my Dark Phoenix Carla cross that I got from Hoya Hole, and it pushed a new leaf, and unfortunately that leaf, half of it got eaten by spider mites. You can see the damage on the left side right there. Yep, those are spider mites. It would have been actually a pretty big leaf. Now it's a damaged big leaf. I actually turned off the grow lights because it was really washing everything out, and I didn't want to pull the plants out every single time. So this is the other alocasia that I put in pond. This is the mellow. It's pushing a new leaf, thankfully. This is my Hoya Silver Dollar, and it actually activated a growth point after not doing anything for a long time, and there's 4 new leaves. So there's a new leaf back here, and then obviously these 2 new ones. So excited to see it grow again. This is my Goliath, which is finally pushing a new leaf. Very cute. I love the overlapping lobes. This one is an exciting one. This is the Silver Blush Red Crystal that I got from Carnivoro a long time ago. This one hadn't been doing much for the longest time, but actually, look at this spectacular new leaf. It's actually an offset. That is the main growth point back there. Look at how dark purple and how red that sinus is. And it actually flowered for the first time, and I really hope the camera picks it up, but the inflorescence is like red. Very, very cool. Very colorful. These two here are test subjects. This is my very sad looking queen, anthurium. She kind of rotted her roots, and I decided to do a test on if I needed to put anthurium into a prop box to rehab, or if I can just cover up the pot in some saran wrap and leave the roots in there. It is working so far. We got new roots happening in there, and I don't have to make space in a prop box. And this is the other one that I'm testing it on. You can see that it activated a growth point like it does every single time you put it into moss. It is literally magical, magical stuff. Over here we have my caudata, which had not been doing anything for the longest time, and finally we got new growth. Do you see that baby leaf? Yes, it is finally growing. Down here we have two prop boxes that contain rehab anthurium. Let me show you the first one. Okay, so this is what we're working with. This is the other Black Widow Michelle over here. This is a very cute anthurium Michelle next to it. Yeah, just doing really well. This is a brand new leaf. Look at how cute. That's that prop box. Sorry guys, if you want like a more proper tour where I talk about every single plant in my prop boxes, let me know. I just don't want this to be a million years long, so that's kind of why I'm just handpicking some to talk about. We have even more, again, anthurium rehabs here. This is the Carla dress that was one of my very first rehabs in moss that kind of started off this realization that maybe I need to use moss in my mixes, and as you can see, I repotted it into my chunky mix. You got that large orchid bark and perlite in there, and look at those happy roots. That is a brand new root. That's a brand new root. This was a plant that I initially put in the tree fern mix, and they were not doing very well. I'm so glad to see it doing well in this mix. Like the moss, this one popped a new leaf after I put it in here. It's magical so far. I will report back and see how it does more long-term in it. What else? Ooh, let me actually show you my NSC Carla, because I think I showed it in the beginning of January when its new leaf was coming out, but it hadn't fully expanded yet. Oh my god, I am deceased. Look at how dark that is, and I'm so glad that the lighting is actually portraying how dark this is, because this is how it is in real life. The veins are like a very light pink color. So stunning. I love this one so much, and right now it's in 100% moss. Really need to repot it because look at that long root. It is escaping, but holy schmoly, if I can get at least one Carla to grow well this year, then my job is done. Yeah, the plant room is done. All right, you guys, I am showing you the new shelf liner, greenhouse liner. I don't know exactly what to call it for the Hoya shelves out here. This is what it looks like because I wanted to retain some humidity. The plants here were drying out just way too fast, and I think that was the main reason why they weren't really doing that well, because they just got way too dry too often. So I bought this on Amazon, and I didn't measure it because if you can see down here, it's too short. I did a really seedy job of wrapping it with some saran wrap. So if you guys, intelligent people of the internet, know anything else that's a little bit more permanent, I don't know what the right word for that is, then please let me know, because as you can see, it doesn't really work that well. That is the humidity in there. I'm not really quite sure I believe that, because the humidity in the home is more than that. So I don't know if the garage is just less humid than inside, which I guess can kind of make sense. I don't know. I'm confused. At least it's warmer because it's actually pretty cold in the garage. Let me just unzip this and show you around. We have some lovely Hoya here. This is the textured veins from UPT. and you can really see the texture in this light. Looks fantastic. My Nong Nook back here is starting to put out leaves, as you can see over there. Interested to see what they will become. These are the Hoya on the almost last shelf. I feel like I just showed these not too long ago. Despite it showing that it has low humidity in here, the substrate hasn't been drying out as quickly. I have noticed that. Like you can see, it's still a bit dark in there, and I watered, I think like 5 days ago. For now, it would have been like bone dry. I still think that it is helping retain the moisture. This is a Hoya latifolia, finally giving me a new leaf. It looks very cute. We're doing better in here. Again, it's always, these garage Hoya have always been on the struggle bus for as long as I can remember, but hopefully having this shelf liner will kind of turn things around. Okay, please let me show you this new leaf. This is my red crystal woohoo. I think it's a woo 4. The sunlight is coming through, so this is the perfect time to kind of show you how magnificent it is. This is its newest leaf. It's almost expanded, and oof, it is dark. The veins are very, very red. The camera's kind of casting a shadow, so let me try to work around that. It looks so good. I am thoroughly obsessed with this plant. We have the Hoya shelf in the living room, and everyone's pretty much doing the same thing that they were before. Bertonier is continuing to bloom. My Lacunosa Royal Flush over here is doing good. Moving down lower, these are a lot of my veiny Hoyas. I think the CV Marvel just put out this magnificent new leaf. Got a little bit, I don't know, damaged. Not sure what that is. It's still growing, which is nice. Oh, it also put out this leaf, which looks a lot better. This is my lockeye that I keep over here, honestly. Or is it locky eye? It's always hated me, and I think it had spider mites at some point, so I just kind of keep it over here. I think I might end up purging this one because it just has never been happy in my care. This is my Equigenera, what is this? Crystal Sky, which is like a Bess crystal, and it put out a new leaf. I am just watching it expand. Look at how nice that looks. This was the last leaf that it gave me. It did tear, unfortunately, when it was coming out of the cataphyll, but looks really nice, and the sinus has been getting a little bit wider, which is interesting. Okay, last part that I want to show you of new stuff. So a lot of these anthurium here I actually repotted into the new anthurium mix that I'm trying out. So this is a mag BVEP. Let me see, actually. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is so funny. The tag, it's completely worn off, so I don't know. I know it's a mag and a BVEP. I just have no idea what the order is. But this is actually the Tazula mix, and you can see it's a lot finer, but the roots seem to be doing okay. I just did this yesterday, so these are all newly repotted. This is my Tazula Dark Form Ace of Spades, and finally it is looking as dark as it looks in person. The other leaves, not so much. It hasn't really pushed anything for a while, so I thought it was time for an upsize. Kind of hard to show, but yep, it's in that new mix, and these are some of the older roots in here. We'll see how it roots out. The other plant that I repotted is my red vein dark phoenix, which also had been not doing anything for the longest time, and like really way too much time. I think I got this like almost 5 months ago, could be less than that, and the cataphyll really has done nothing. And I realized when I repotted it that it had dry rot in it from my tree fern mix. I made sure to try it out in this new mix, which is a bold move considering this is probably, I think this is my most expensive plant, and I'm trying a new mix on it. But look at that root. Looks happy so far. Hopefully it'll give me a new leaf soon. I accidentally damaged this leaf while I was repotting it. Oh well. Let's change it up from anthurium and just move over here. Now that I have these monitors, I can tell you that the current humidity in my home is 35, so pretty low. but it is the winter time. Mathilde pushing out new leaves. That looks wonderful. I will eventually have to move these out. It's kind of looking a little crazy down here. I haven't shown this plant in a while. This is my Nabawensis intervariegated, and she's very cute. She has grown some new leaves. Not like a speedy grower by any means, but she's been growing pretty steadily. There's some new leaves coming in over there. Looks a little bit algae ridden, but I think their roots are doing okay. Ooh, I wanted to show off this Hoya. So I forgot what this one was called. Hold on. The Acha, I have no idea how to say that, but there you go. The original prop leaves were like fine, right? But these new leaves started to grow, and look at how veiny, like you can see that raised texture through there. It's so beautiful, and they're also so big. Like, look at these leaves. They're huge, and I love how splashy they are. Oh, that's my dog coming over. They're so, so pretty. So glad that I picked up this Hoya. Can't wait for it to grow out and fill out a trellis. All right, let's finish off with these last few prop boxes, and then we'll get into some repots. This is full of newly repotted anthurium. Not really much since the last time you guys saw these plants, although the Wonder Boy has actually put out a new leaf. Let me see if I can properly show the color off. There's like a type A and a type B, and this is the A. The veins are like really light pink and a dark purple through the middle there. It did get a little bit dinged up coming out, but no worry. And look at the back of the leaf. Do you see the back is white? That's so interesting. I've never seen a back of a leaf be so white with the emergent in it. Yeah, very, very fun plant. And it's in the new mix, so we'll see how it does. So, so pretty. What's in here? Oh, the Ace of Purple hybrid put out a new leaf. And she is very bright red. We'll see how that one expands, and I have this anthurium in the Tuzula mix. The very last prop box, I just repotted this morning. This is the NSC Ace of Spades crossed with a Carla, and it's popped a new leaf, and it is very, very dark indeed. The last one was also pretty dark, so we'll see how this one looks. This is also a fun emergent. This is the Blue Velvet Zara. Also very, very pretty, very like long. And the last guy that I want to show you, this is the first anthurium seedling. This is my Dock Block No ID. I just bought it as a Dock Block hybrid. I have no idea what it is, and it's been with me since I first started collecting anthuriums. It has not sized up for the year plus that I've had it, but now it finally is doing well, so I'm glad to see it. The color is, I wouldn't say it's like 100% accurate. It's a little bit more of like a brownie tinge to it, but it definitely does have that light pink coming through it. Usually don't name plants, but this one is just so special to me since it was my first seedling. I got it with like 1 or 2 leaves on it, and I was terrified of how tiny it was, but hey, it's still here. It's still cute and small, and I decided to name this one Pebbles because look at the pebbly texture. Hopefully it'll come through. Yes, do you see that pebbly texture? So this is why I will name this one Pebbles, and we will see how big Pebbles can get. It is much later. It is 5:40 in the evening. The sun has gone down, and it's time to repot. I got 4 plants to do tonight. So first one is going to be the FTG. This is the NSC Fairchild Crystallinum, and as you can see, it's seen better days, so I definitely want to rehab this one and get it growing much better this year. Then the second plant we have is right up here. You probably can't see it, but it's my Hush Kiliana intervariegated. That one I'm very nervous about, and then we're going to do my dark Forgetii next. And then I have one other very sad anthurium that I want to rehab. So we're going to start with this one and get it out of the way. I'm probably just going to take off this leaf because it's mostly gone anyway, and it came off quite easily. Let me see what this is in. Tree fern pond mix, and looks like it was going too wet. And I know this because there's this bacteria that tends to grow on the pot. You can see it underneath there. I think the whole purpose of that bacteria is to eat away at all of the decay and stuff. It's just an indicator to me that it's gone too wet for too long. On the positive side, it looks like there is an active growth point happening, and there is a nice healthy root at the bottom. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe it's not like a full rehab. Maybe I can put it in a different substrate. The roots are looking okay. Definitely expected worse. I'll show you them after I'm all done. There's a growth point activated lower. Honestly, I don't think I'm gonna straight rehab this one. I think I'm just gonna put it in that new mix and see how it does, because I thought the roots would be rotted and they're actually not. I think it's just been inconsistently watered a lot, and that's why the leaves aren't very happy, but the roots look pretty good. Look at all those. Let me just get rid of the substrate. I think I'm gonna use this. This is like a 6-inch tall pot. I think it'll fit. Yeah, the roots will probably be able to fit in there nicely. And I think I'll probably use this mix, the one with less moss in it. Or should I maybe combine a little bit of the more moss? I don't know, I might do like a half and half kind of mix. I feel like I'm gonna use most of this. Honestly, guys, I've been really thinking about getting a grow tent. And my initial protest against getting a grow tent was I didn't have any space for it, but I thought about it, and actually my boyfriend, or fiance, sorry, has a room. We have a room just for his computer, and there's actually some space in there. So I'm thinking I can squeeze maybe like a 3x3 foot grow tent in there. He doesn't know yet that I'm thinking about this. He will when he watches my video. It's not like 100% certain, but seeing how well anthurium have done in prop boxes, it's just, do I want to make my life easier or harder? And I think you can certainly grow anthurium in ambient conditions, 100%, but there's just some species that really do much better in higher humidity. I've noticed the two off the top of my head that I'm thinking about are the bevep or Antilocii and the Dressleri. I was able to grow my Dressleri in ambient during the summer when it was a little bit more humid here, but during the winter, oof, yeah, no, it did not work very well. So I'm thinking that's what I want to do. I think humidity is great because for any plant, because it gives you just that extra insurance through your personal errors. So if you underwater, it's much harder to underwater in higher humidity because it tends to, oh, I just broke the tip off of the growth point. Love that. It's much harder to underwater in higher humidity because it tends to seal in that moisture for longer. It's also much harder to overwater as well because for anthurium specifically, their roots, their top roots are growing down into the soil, and even though you're rotting the bottom roots, maybe because you're overdoing it, the top roots are still alive and able to grow down. It is a completely different ballpark growing anthurium in high humidity. It's kind of like when you realize the game that you've been playing has an easy and a hard level, and you've been playing at the hard level for so long and you had no idea that you can just change it to easy. That's how I feel when it comes to that. So I think I might finally break and get a grow tent. I never thought I would be this person, but here we are. If you are not into anthurium, don't get into anthurium, please, because not only is it an extremely expensive genus to get into, you buy all these extra things. It's, yeah. Do not recommend. Okie dokie. So we have this one repotted. This is what it looks like. I can monitor the roots on the side and we'll just see how it does in this mix. Let's pull the Hush Kiliana off of the shelf. This one feels very, very dry. There's a lot of crispy, dry leaves. This is what she looks like. She looks very nice and full, but not very healthy. Bottom roots look rotted as usual. See what they look like on the inside of the pot. It's in the micro leca mix, which I don't love. I'm gonna pull out all of the plant stakes in there. There's also some floof from the move, I think, still in there. It is not looking good. I think a lot of these roots are rotted. Yeah, I might have to restart this plant. All of them are rotted. No. All right, I'm not even gonna try to save these roots. I'm just gonna pull off all the roots. Darn it. Nothing that I put in this micro leca ended up doing well. You see that? You see all those rotty roots? Yeah, that's pretty much what the entire situation looks like. So sad. This is what the roots look like. Completely rotted off. I'm glad I caught it now. It's just so sad. So sad. It's fine. I'm pretty hopeful I can turn this plant around. Just gonna chop off all them roots. And this will be kind of like the test to see if I can restart a Hoya without having to prop it up again, because there's no way I'm gonna restart this whole thing by props. That would take way too long. So I'm just gonna get off as many of the rotty roots as possible. So hopefully it'll start to grow new roots, and I'm just gonna do that with all sections of the plant. Looks like there's like 3 main sections of it. How much do these go for? Because I remember they used to be really pricey, but I think they've really come down in price. I don't know if they're like exactly common right now, but definitely have gone down in price. It's just funny because there's also like new growth happening. I guess it is possible for Hoya to grow leaves even though it's rotting. And after I'm done, I'm just gonna throw away all this substrate. There's like really, I'm not gonna reuse it. Sometimes you pick new substrates that work well, and other times they really don't work the way that you thought that they would. This is the second stem. This one, I will definitely need to cut off some of the flower, the leaves, and expose more stem. Honestly, I might just do this to my Crimson Queen too. Pot her, see if the roots are rotted, and if they are, just... Do you hear that? That is my dog. He is very sad that the door is closed on him. This is the stem for the third piece. So this is what we got to work with. 3 pieces. I have to throw all this away. Now the question is, what substrate shall we pot this into? Not moss. I definitely don't want to do moss. We're gonna do one of these 3.5-inch containers, and I just picked up some of my tree fern pond mix. I'm gonna add leca down at the bottom. We're just gonna try to reroot the whole thing in this mixture. Make sure it's in high humidity and make sure it never dries out. And we'll go from there. While I'm doing this, I'm very curious, totally not plant related, but what shows and movies are you guys into? I am all up for anything that you guys have watched that's really good. We have just finished up Peaky Blinders. We watched all the seasons that are available, and that was really good. I think I liked it more than Cody liked it. We also just saw Big Little Lies, and he was totally not for it whatsoever. Actually, I have Great White, so I'm gonna dip the stems in Great White and just kind of see if it'll kickstart it. But anyway, Big Little Lies, if you haven't seen it, unfortunately it's on HBO Max, so it might be available to people who are subscribed to that program or know how to torrent. But if you haven't seen it, it's based on a book and it is fantastic. Like, season 1 is really good. I watched it when it first came out and then I hadn't seen it since, and so he was very not on board in the beginning because he said it was like a chick show, you know, just by all of the images out there and whatnot, but he was floored at the ending. And if you have seen the show, then you know what I'm talking about. It is like one of the most surprising twists, and I'm usually pretty good at calling out twists in shows, but that one got me. If you haven't seen Big Little Lies, highly recommend. There is trigger warnings, however, so make sure you look up the trigger warnings beforehand. There's like a lot of DV in it. It is not a show for everyone, but it is fantastic. In terms of movies, we kind of want to rewatch all of the Bourne movies since it's been so long since any of us have seen them. So we're on the first movie. I also kind of want to see The Substance, but I've heard it's really, really nasty. But I'm intrigued because I just keep seeing it over and over again. So I don't know. If any of you have seen The Substance, is it really that gross? Because if people are overhyping how gross it is, then I'm down to watch it. But if it really is that gross, then I don't know if I'm brave enough, because just from everything I've seen about it, it looks kind of intense. Let me put some steaks in here to make sure they don't go anywhere. I keep getting everything coming out of the pot, which is annoying, but there's not really much I can do about it. This is like the problem I had in the beginning. Just would always come out. Got it watered. Now we are just going to send thoughts and prayers. All right, how much battery life do I have on my camera? 15%. Okay, so I think that means that I have enough time to maybe rehab one more anthurium. So I'm between the two. I'm gonna go with the most dire. This guy right here, it's only like a quarter of a leaf, and it is very dry that I can see. I don't have a tag for it. I'll go ahead and pop up what it was. Let's see what the roots look like. Ooh, definitely smells like rot. Rot has a very, very distinct smell to it. It looks like it's a bit of dry rot. I think a lot of these roots are no good. I want to restart this entirely. I might just go back to a stump with this one and see if it'll bounce back or not. Yeah, because if you see, you just see there's so many spots of root rot along this thing. I'm just gonna chop it up. I'm gonna take off this leaf since it's mostly gone anyway. And we're gonna start from a stump. It is a pretty big stump, so I'm sure there'll be nodes that'll pop. I have a lot of moss on hand. I'm gonna grab a little cute 2-incher and I'm just gonna pack it. So this is essentially how I've been rehabbing anthurium. I've just been putting them in 100% moss, and I've been very, very mindful about like how tightly I've been packing the moss, because I've noticed if you pack it too tightly, it takes much longer for it to get started again. I think it's a lot about that airflow. Very simple, that's what it looks like, and we're gonna put it in a prop box and we'll see how it does. I actually have time to do one more since that one was a quick one. Let's tackle my Forgetii. This is my dark form Forgetii. I got this on Carnivoro. This, I think I paid like $14 for it. It was super cheap, and I got it like as a pretty big established plant. The roots look pretty good in here, so I'm just wondering why it looks so sad. Maybe I just need to change up the substrate. Maybe I need to rehab it. It looks like it's starting to flower, which is very strange considering how the state of it is, but let's just dump everything back in here. That was very loud. I will definitely edit that out. The roots actually don't look that bad considering, and there's so many of them. Oh my god, I like straight up put the wicks in here too. There's so many wicks. Or is that the same wick? See, look, there's one wick, here's a second wick. Yeah, the roots don't look too bad. I think I'll just change up the substrate. This was in Luka with some pumice in it. See if it'll like the new substrate better. And I'm not gonna be very gentle with the roots just because I don't think we need this many roots for this one leaf. This is probably gonna take a while. Ooh, I'm at 9%. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna turn off the camera and then we will be back. We are back, and look at the roots. I'm like not even joking. I wish I was. Look at all these roots. It's insane. I've never seen so many roots attached to one thing, and the stem is so long. I'm gonna cut this. There's literally no reason for me to not cut it. The most logical thing is for me to cut it here down. So the top one has some roots. So here we go. Let's untangle this as best as we can. I hope you guys can't hear the children playing in the park. It's like literally nighttime outside. I don't know why you're taking your child to play in the park when it's nighttime. The top has plenty of roots. This can fit in here very comfortably. The bottom, I have the 3.5, and I'm just gonna cut the roots we don't need. There is no point in us having this many roots just for a stem. And I'm sure I can take more cuttings, but I don't really need that many forgetty eyes. I'm trying to downsize, so I'm just gonna trim roots. If you don't like seeing roots being trimmed, then look away. You were warned. Just gonna cut maybe like the bottom ones mostly off, and then maybe these guys here. Is that gonna fit in here? Yes, it will. Okay, so this seems a much more proportional cut to a stem like this, so happy with that. All of these roots are gonna go bye-bye. We're just gonna pot it up in the new substrate. Why not? Let's go for it. I literally thought the roots for this forgetty eye were donezo, because look at how janked the leaf was, but I think that's just my watering. I really gotta get better on watering anthurium. They do not like to be dried out. We are down to 9% again. I tried charging my camera a little bit more, and it did not charge as much as I wanted it to. I really need to get a second battery for this camera. I've just been lazy and have not done that yet. See, this is why this is so expensive, because this whole thing was $25, and literally after 2 6-inch pots, it's pretty much almost gone. I just placed a new order of orchiata bark. Hopefully it'll come in this next week, and I'll be able to make some more mix. I think I'm just gonna put moss, encourage some of those top roots to grow in. I was watching this Palm Street Live, and I forgot what seller it was, but he basically said any stem above the substrate, you really want to get those roots to grow down into it, because it'll help the plant start to size up more. And that makes a lot more sense, because it's more anchored in it as opposed to this like long stem that's not even like attached to anything. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to try to make sure that the roots on the stem are going to grow down. This is what the repot looks like. We shall see how it does. That's my very sad looking forgetty eye. For this, let's just use moss. Why not? I'll just try to squeeze it in here. I think this is actually the first time I've cut in anthurium. I really want to start doing that this year, is getting a lot more comfortable with chopping up my anthurium. Maybe I can start to sell the clones, make some of the money back that I have literally spent on this hobby. That would be nice. Not like my best job ever, but that'll do. We actually were able to accomplish everything on my list, so that is fantastic. If you are here until the end, thank you so much for joining me. Let me know what shows and movies you are really into, because I'm very interested in knowing what we should watch next. Other than that, I hope you are having a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.